So, welcome to Past, Present, Future, the Full Circle podcast. On this podcast, we will be speaking to artists, managers, label owners, stylists, really anyone involved within the UK music and rap industry. The aim is to give you a full circle overview on their life, their past, their present, and obviously their future. Past, Present, Future, Ep.8. So we're really building up the steam now, and I have to be honest and just say this is probably the episode that I've looked forward to the most.
Thank you, bro.
Most excited about and probably most nervous for as well, which I would say is always a good sign.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous, so it's all good. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Well, I wanted to intro this and just say that this is the episode dedicated to everybody trying to find sense in a world that doesn't make any,
mate. The world makes no sense whatsoever, so I'd back that 100%.
100%. So hopefully we can make some sense of your childhood first.
Let's do it.
So, yeah, I mean, how would you sum up childhood on a whole?
My childhood was good. Like, I was very lucky, always surrounded by good people that loved me, like, respected me. So I could never really complain. I grew up in Wokenham, which is just outside Reading. It's a good town. It's easy, man. I had a lot of friends and... yeah, I was chilling. Big chilling.
Yeah, because I think in one of your songs you say you would never like pretend to be a gangster because you understand there's a blessing that you're not one. But kind of within the music industry, how would you say like you were received initially, and this is jumping through time, but just while we're on the point, how would you say you were received initially as not being a gangster within an industry that kind of glorifies?
I don't know, it worked for me because... being a gangster or not being a gangster means nothing if you've got talent. Do you know what I mean? So, like, Picasso doesn't need to be a gangster. Like, things like that. Like, I focus on artistry because I love art. Like, I don't focus on being road because I couldn't care less about being road. It makes no sense to me. So, it works. If people can pick up on it, there's more people that don't do road than people that do road. So if you appeal to those people... like, you're flying.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, to talk about your school life, and there's a reason that I want to go into this, and it kind of relates to a lyric within Endlessly, actually. So right. I wanted to ask about school and how you found it, and then specifically to go into kind of like the setup of school and how it benefits some people more than others. But in your case, how was school life?
School was perfect. I missed school literally every day.
Yeah?
Like, I went to a school called the Forest in Winnersh.
Okay.
And all boys... and like I'm still boys with like 35 people in my year. So all of my friendship group are still my friendship group. Like, nothing's changed. Like, our humour hasn't changed. Like, what we do hasn't really changed. So it was just like every day with my mates, really. And I was quite lucky. I never really had to stress too much about grades. It wasn't something that stuck in my mind. Like, I'm very different to my brother and sister in that sense because they're both very, like, they work incredibly hard, like, academically. Like, both in like ridiculously smart, but they work stupidly hard. But it's just never been something in my life that's gripped me. I was just more like, if I can go here and enjoy myself every single day, then I've done school properly. Do you know what I mean?
With that in mind, so you say like, and it's interesting you reference about your brother and sister, and they're like potentially more academic, and then you're more potentially, I don't know, street smart and stuff like that, or however you want to brand it. But how do you feel like the school setup is positioned to benefit some people more than others?
I think the education system's like fucked, mate. I think it, like, top to bottom, I think it's ridiculous. Like, I can't get my head round. So, like, I'll use geography for an example.
Please.
Where it's case study based. You can know everything in the world about one mountain, but if it's not the right mountain, you're fucked. Like, you could fail. So, like, the school's just a memory test. I did a tweet once. Like, this was my first tweet that ever did anything. This was before music, before the lot. And I just said, why wouldn't they just give us GCSE revision guides in year 7 and give us 4 years to revise for the exams? Because everything that's in the GCSEs is in the textbooks. So just give me the textbook, bro. Give me 4 years. I'd nail that shit. And obviously that's hyperbole, but there's kind of truth to it in sense of it's just a memory test.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could be ridiculously smart at one thing, but if you've got a bad memory, you're fucked.
Yeah, it's facts. And the reason I wanted to ask is it's clear from your lyrics, from speaking to you, from being with you, that you're incredibly talented and incredibly intelligent, but potentially that wasn't, I guess, nurtured and cared for within that system. So kind of going into your lyrics, and I'm guessing that it stems from an early age. So specifically like wordplay, similes, that side of things, and especially the football influence. Where did that stem from?
Punchlines, like whether it was humour, whether it was music, I like a punchline. Do you know what I mean? So before I wanted to do music, even in lessons, I kind of make stupid comments and say things what I thought was funny because of the punchline. I like twisting things. So once I started writing those down, and like I've loved music my whole life and I've loved writing. So once I kind of figured out, right, okay, here I've got an opportunity to do everything and I can use my voice. So that's kind of how I fell in love with like wordplay, just making people laugh, like probably making people laugh before making people think. And then it's the same thought process. A punchline in a song is exactly the same as a punchline in a joke. Like it's the same thing. So yeah, that's probably where punchlines came in. I just fell in love with it.
And specifically football?
Oh yeah, football. Football I've just played since I was a kid. And the world's your oyster when it comes to football in terms of lyrics, because you look at a player, I don't know why Gary Cahill's coming to mind, but Gary Cahill, then you've got opportunity to go Crystal Palace or Chelsea or whoever it was, Bolton, and then you've got playing stripes, playing white tee, and you can just, like, you can do anything.
Spin off in any direction.
Yeah, so football's easy, and then you've got positions, formations, stuff like that, so it's just, and because it's a big part of my life, when I'm writing, it just sneaks in.
Yeah, no, definitely it comes across. I mean, from a personnel perspective, like within your life, like who was the biggest, like, I guess, influence in terms of pushing you towards that life? That was like granddad, dad, like who was the biggest football man within your family?
Football. My dad loves football. So it's kind of criminal, to be fair. My dad's a West Ham fan, and obviously I'm a Chelsea fan, but there's no way I'm having a kid and he's not supporting Chelsea. But my older brother was a Chelsea fan, so it just kind of happened like that. But I don't know, my parents didn't make me, but put me into a football team, like under fives, and then it just kind of nurtured itself. All my friends love football, and it just became a big part of, I mean, when you're doing it twice a week and you're watching every game that's on TV, you just kind of absorb it.
Yeah. One thing that was actually really interested that you mentioned earlier about the punchlines, and you fell in love with like making people laugh. I wonder, kind of upon reflection, so I'll go into it within the album, but I think a solid part of it is it speaks about depression and stuff like that. So I wonder, with regards to falling in love with making people laugh, was kind of a way of like making yourself feel better?
Probably. That's deep, but probably. Like it's escapism, isn't it? It's like there isn't a better feeling than making someone laugh. It's free. Like I talk about it in my music because I do believe it, and a lot of things I'm hypocritical about because I mean I don't live my life like by a certain set of rules. But being nice to people and being kind and making people laugh, that's the best feeling in the world, and you pay nothing for it. So maybe because it's definitely satisfying and it's definitely a good serotonin, dopamine, and it makes you feel better yourself. It builds your confidence, and like if you can be that person in a room, then people want to spend time with you. It's what life is. It's like that's what good feelings are. So it probably is a bit of escapism because I mean I have bad days or bad weeks or whatever, but in a social setting that's not clear. It's only clear to me when I'm sat at home in my room. If like when I'm with my boys, if we go for a beer or go kick a football about, they won't think, is he all right today? Like just because I'm exactly the same. So maybe it is a type of escapism, but at the same time I think it's just how I want to be. That's the person I want to be. Yeah. Rather than a conscious effort to not be sad. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, maybe I think there's elements of that, but who knows?
Yeah, it's a good answer, and it's interesting you mentioned the word escape and escapism quite frequently, as it's one of the words that I've written down to describe the album, which I'll come on to soon. And you referenced that feeling of making people laugh, making you feel happier. So with that in mind, whilst on the topic, from like a childhood or youth perspective, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy would you say your upbringing was?
I'd say when you say upbringing, we're talking like up to like 16, something like that. Yeah. I'd have to say 10 because there hasn't been a person in my life that hasn't like my mum is like pure diamond. She's like an absolute angel. My dad's one of the best people in the world. And I know everyone says that, but I can't give myself anything other than a 10 because of the cards I've been dealt. Do you know what I mean? It would just be like disrespectful for me to say, oh, no, it's an 8. But like, I had the happiest childhood in the world, man. Can't complain.
What would you say was the biggest or most powerful lesson that you learned from your childhood that still moulds like you in the present moment, if that makes sense?
Just be happy. Like like happiness over everything. I was gonna get a tattoo of it, but I didn't. Of just happiness over everything. If you're happy, who cares? So even though like day in day out, it might not always be. I don't bounce around like this. That's something that I tried to do, and that's something I kind of thought about early. Like we were talking about school. It's like I only cared like, what did you learn at school today? Not much, but I had a good time. So I mean, that was what was important to me, and that's still something I try to live by. For sure.
How did your parents feel about that? Like when you came home from school, oh, what did you learn today? Nothing, but I had a good time.
I mean, that is probably an exaggeration, but at the same time, I was quite lucky. I was the annoying kid that didn't have to revise for exams and still did all right.
Okay.
So like, if I'd have dedicated myself to it, it would have been a different story. But
Sure.
It's a bad mindset to have, but I was of the mindset, if I can do this without the revision and still pass, why would I do the revision? But that's also kind of laziness. But yeah, as long as I got the grades, they were all right. They tried their best.
It's not necessarily laziness though, is it? It's just a form of prioritisation. Like you say, you prioritised happiness over putting in the hours for that, which I would argue is more valuable in the long term.
Yeah, and it's not like I was naughty. I wasn't getting into like big amounts of trouble. I just wanted to have fun. Like I might make a stupid comment here and there, but I wasn't fighting. I wasn't swearing at teachers. I wasn't doing anything too bad. And I think a parent just really wants their kid to enjoy themselves. So I think even though they might try and push, right, you're doing revision tonight, you're doing this, you're doing that, there's only so much you can push with if someone's not really doing anything wrong. Do you know what I mean? So they were fine. They've always been accepting
Supportive,
of that.
yeah. Music, where did the music influence come from?
Just love it. I've always written music, all different types of music. So I used to play songs to write, play on a guitar, like rubbish, but fun. Rubbish, but fun. My sister used to write music. My brother writes like creatively, like stories and books and that. Well, I wouldn't say he necessarily does it as a hobby, but that's the course he did at uni, and that's his strength.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just kind of happened. Like I would have done it regardless of a career or no career. So it was just kind of lucky that it fell into place, and the black box kind of took up steam.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, wow, like why wouldn't I do this? And it gave me an opportunity and a platform to kind of portray that. But yeah, no, it just kind of happened naturally. I've always loved music. I would have written it anyway. So,
who pushed you the most to take it seriously?
I had a teacher called Mr. Bainbridge, and he was kind of a little bit Marmite, but I really liked him. Like really liked him because he had my back, and he was the first teacher to say to me, he was like, "I've heard your music. I like it. Maybe uni's not for you." Do you know what I mean? And bear in mind, he's doing assemblies every morning, trying to persuade people to go to uni and that.
Sure.
When he said that to me, I was like, oh shit. Like, and I wouldn't say he's the most influential, but it was nice to hear a different voice say something like that to me. Do you know what I mean? I was like, fair enough. Like, at least he believes in me. He clearly sees something, and that's his job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciated that. My granddad's in a band called Alfie and the Alcoholics.
Oh, yeah, I saw something about that, yeah.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, it probably stems massively from that side of the family, which is my dad's side of the family.
And you said the band name was quite accurate, I think. I read somewhere.
It's accurate enough, yeah. I mean, he's Alfie, and by the sounds of it, they all like a drink. So.
And how much of that has influenced you in your later life?
I don't know. I get a lot. I got a lot of my kind of personality or all that from my dad's side of the family.
Yeah.
My sides of the family are very different. Both amazing, but very different. And I think I kind of lean. I don't know. I kind of zigzag between the two.
Yeah.
But in terms of social and music, and even kind of drinking and enjoying a pint with my mates and stuff like that, like laughing about, joking, swearing, smoking, the stupid shit. Do you know what I mean? The pointless stuff. Well, not the pointless stuff, the best stuff, like in life, really. But yeah, that definitely stems from that side of the family for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, I just wanted to kind of go into that, as it's always important to understand kind of like the roots of the natural talent that you today are portraying. So yeah, that's really good. And kind of to finish up on the past section. So I asked you how happy your childhood or your upbringing was. You said 10 out of 10, which is amazing. I mean, to be transparent, I kind of have reservations of believing that it was a 10 out of 10, that there were no moments within your childhood that were difficult. So,
Yeah.
I mean, within that, what would you say like your toughest moments were?
I mean, when I say 10, I kind of was given a 10 to what I was given.
I understand
but in terms of in my head, I mean, I've always kind of been back and forth. I'm someone that kind of craves happiness rather than someone that is gifted it. Do you know what I mean? I have to. Things don't just instantly just make me happy, and then I'm like happy. I'm kind of chasing it, which is like a spiral sometimes, up or down. But I mean, as I grew up, and then like my best friend, or one of my best friends, I was quite lucky with who I have. He passed away when I was 19, so even though, like, that's still childhood, really. Especially when you're gonna look back on it, that was a turning point for everyone's life, really, because nothing's really been the same since then. Because he passed away. Obviously, those 6 months you're running on pure adrenaline. Like, everything's adrenaline. 1 second you're like, oh, I feel fine. Next second you're fucked. So you're on, like, pure adrenaline, and then COVID happens, and then you can't see anyone, and then the world just feels weird. So that's been a turning point for everyone. It took a long time for life to kind of feel like, oh, right, this feels normal. Do you know what I mean? So that kind of sponge shit, it looks like someone's spinning a globe. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, this doesn't make sense.
Do you feel like you're there? You talk about it took a long time for life to feel normal. For me, the losses that I've experienced in my life will, I don't know, I guess it depends what you define as normal, but it will never be normal again. Do you really feel you're there right now?
I think it's not just like, even Luke, it's not just about that. I don't think life feels normal. Like, everything about the world feels like just weird to me at the moment. It feels off balance. But in terms of like grief and stuff like that, I'm very lucky, because even though no one can replace him, I've got friends and people that I love that kind of half fill a void. Do you know what I mean? There isn't like, I'd be kind of lying if there was an empty space that isn't. It's like, I love my friends. I'm very lucky with all of them. So we've all been there for each other. But no, nothing will ever kind of come close to him. Do you know what I mean? It's like, or I think like anyone that's lost someone, it's like you don't really just go, oh right, yeah, that's the past. Do you know what I mean? That's still the present to me. Like, I wrote a bar the other day, and it was like something about saying about Freeman. I say what's good, not rest in peace. I can't remember how it went, but like, I don't kind of think of it as that's done. He's still there with me. Like, it's still the present. But yeah, man, it's difficult, but I'm lucky with who's around me.
Yeah, for sure. I think you've kind of answered my next point, and part of the reason that I feel that it's important to discuss what are horrible topics to speak about is because, unfortunately, they're not always unique, and there are other people going through these similar things. So you touched upon a few things, and you had the support from your friend group, that group and stuff like that. But how did you and do you cope with a loss like that for people that are potentially experiencing something similar?
Be patient. Don't kind of be too impulsive, or kind of don't judge it based off instinct. Sorry, just be patient. Kind of, if you feel happy, don't feel guilty for being happy. If you think, why do I feel all right? Don't beat yourself up, because otherwise you're just gonna make yourself feel shit. Like, take a good day as a good day. Take a bad day as a bad day. And time's a healer. Time is your friend. And yeah, speak to people about it. If there's people that are going through the same thing, because especially in a friendship group, I was lucky because everyone's lost the same thing. So we all had something in common. And even though you heal at different times, having that there is amazing. But I'd say be patient. Don't feel guilty for being okay. Don't beat yourself up too bad for not being okay. And like, when they're out there, it slowly goes to there, and then you kind of meet it in the middle. But yeah, just be patient. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, it's amazing advice. The bit that kind of resonates with me the most is don't beat yourself up about feeling okay. If you have a good
100%.
day off the back of that, that doesn't mean you're a bad person because you've experienced a loss and you're having a good time.
Yeah, no way. That's something I feel. I've had conversations about it as well. Like, sometimes you do just feel okay. Like, you're not just a constant state of sadness thinking, like, I mean, it depends who they are to you, I suppose. But no, like, you're going to have good days and enjoy them. Don't beat yourself up for them.
Yeah, facts, 100%. Well, yeah, thank you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart for going into that. Like, it means a lot. And I know it is tough to speak about these things, but hopefully these sorts of conversations can promote additional conversations within other people that are watching or listening, and then kind of promote that healing.
No, thank you. Like, that's also amazing to hear, because it's nice to know things resonate. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. Thanks.
Don't mention it, bro. But to go into the present, and I'm going to kind of reel off a few words that I think you are feeling in the present and that I picked up from the album. But what is consuming your focus mostly at the moment?
Consuming my focus?
And your time?
I don't know, overthinking, stressing, like music-wise. The thing is, because my kind of work is writing, it forces me to think. Do you know what I mean? So true. I can't really shut it off because I've got to write about it. So I have to think about it and then whatever. But that's kind of my focus. But a lot of the time I'm chasing my focus, bro. Like, I'm not someone that's the most routined or disciplined, or I don't have the best willpower in the world. I veer away from things. So kind of my focus, especially at the start of a new year, my focus is finding my focus. Like, my focus is finding a routine that works for me, finding a morning and evening, and kind of putting myself into a place where I'm not just kind of some cocktail of, you're going to do this at 1 o'clock, then do this at 3, and then you're thinking, and then you're going for a walk, and then you're doing that. Like, that doesn't really work for me. It makes my head spin. So my focus is trying to find my focus this year. Just
how do you do that?
I don't know, work. Like, you actually have to work it out. Like, happiness isn't free, but it should be. But you can't, like, you've got to actually work for these things and actually structure it. So it's all good writing down a timetable, but if I just stick it on the wall and carry on my life, I've just wasted half an hour. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It means nothing.
Yeah.
So like, I don't have the answers, but actually discipline and kind of forcing yourself to do things, like not giving yourself the choice. That's what I'm going to try to do this year. Like, don't sleep with my phone in the same room, put my alarm clock at the other end of the bed, other side of the bedroom, just little stupid things where you might see in a cringy YouTube video, but at the end of the day, advice is there to be taken. So I'm gonna give it a go and see what happens.
Yeah. How are you faring with the phone out of the room so far?
I failed, mate. At the moment, I've got to watch Impractical Jokers to fall asleep. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, man, it's not going too smooth, but it is what it is. At least my head's in a... Well, I'm trying to do it.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, man, I can't front. Like, my willpower and discipline, that isn't my strong point. Like, but that's also when I write the best music. When my head's all over the place, I might write, I'd rather you cheat. Do you know what I mean? So it's weird. Who do I see? Sorry, I saw someone say something. I think it was about music, and... how lucky kind of creatives are that even when you have a bad day, something good can come from it. Yeah. So if I have a shit day and I write, I'd rather you cheat, at least I wrote, I'd rather you cheat it. Like, I can wake up the next day and go, oh, well, I did actually do something. So I'm quite privileged that even in kind of shit moments, something can come from it. Do you know what I mean?
With that in mind and kind of the trauma that you've been through, and which is one of the words I'm going to reference, how skilled would you say you are at the art of remoulding a negative situation or experience into a positive?
I don't know. I wouldn't even say trauma, because I've seen trauma, and that trauma isn't what I have. So I can't sit here and say I'm kind of traumatized. I'm far from traumatized. But in terms of turning negatives into positives, I don't know. It's not necessarily a conscious effort. I see the best in people, and when I'm writing down a situation, good things can come from it. But it's not always a conscious effort of how do I turn this into a positive. Like, it just kind of, it's just natural, patience. It just, that's how the world works. Everything kind of, tide comes in and out. Do you know what I mean? So you just kind of got to ride it and see what happens.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree. So the Sunrise project, I would say, although it came out September last year now, which is crazy, it feels like it was yesterday, but I would say the beauty of music is that you could release something 5 years ago and it's still within the present moment. So I'm going to talk about that as if it is in the present moment, because it very much is.
Yeah, cool.
So one thing that I just get out there that I think is hugely admirable about the reception is, I believe it came out the same week as Drake and Kanye West dropped their 2 albums. I'm a fan of both of those artists, and obviously yourself, and I found myself listening to the Sunrise Project more than those 2 albums, which I think speaks volumes. And I know I saw in your story the numbers were incredibly impressive on Spotify across the board. So from your perspective, how would you say the reception was to the album?
It's my favourite album. It's been good. It was a good end to 2021, to be fair. Like the ball started really rolling, and it gave me a good opportunity for 2022 to go, right, okay, cool, the ball's already moving, now let's just dribble with it, do you know what I mean? So the reception was good. I've never done anything as stressful as make that album, just because it was over lockdown.
Yeah.
Before that album came out, the only person that had ever heard it was the engineer. Do you know what I mean? And that's stupid. Like, there's no twisting that. That's just dumb. But for some reason, that's just where my headspace was. All I wanted to do was shut everything else off and make an album. So yeah, when it came out, and actually that's a lie, the night before I sent it to like my best mate Mark, who'd heard it and told me what he thought. But it was fulfilling, and it was kind of like, it was relief, kind of, because everything was in here, and then all of a sudden everyone hears it and then they like it. Because when it's just an idea, it's like, will they, won't they? So yeah, it was just relief, and actually just to finish it and just kind of go, right, okay, that's done.
Sense of release.
Yeah, that's a beautiful feeling. Releasing an album is like the best feeling ever.
How hard is it to release? You know what I mean? When you've worked so hard on something, and there's kind of maybe that anxiety or apprehension of actually pushing it out there, and then obviously I guess that's where the feeling of release comes from. But how
100%.
how tough is it to let go?
I mean, I get anxiety, so it makes me I shit myself, mate. Like, I'll go around for time thinking about it. But in terms of, it's song dependent rather than an album. Like, I'd rather you cheat. I was like literally this close to just not putting that on the tape, like, because.
Disclaimer: that's my favourite song on the album.
I mean, I was gonna say it could be mine, but.
What is yours?
I like Without My Lover. I like Orange or Soul Food. I like Stop Playing With Me. There's a few that I like.
I like all of them.
Yeah, like it depends. I don't really have a favourite. It just kind of changes depending on what mood I'm in. But yeah, there's certain songs that, like, at the time when I write them, it doesn't even cross my mind that people are going to hear them, and then they're about to come out. I'm like, fuck, they can't know that. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's like putting fucking journal entry out there, and I'm like, fuck, I can't believe people, like, when I came down in the morning after that album coming out, because my parents support everything I do and they listened as soon as it came out. Before, like, obviously they said, well done, congratulations and stuff. They were like worried, and that made me feel weird, because I was like, shit, like, I don't even think about that when I'm writing it. It's from like a very selfish point of view. So sometimes it is difficult to kind of put those things out there, but at the same time, that's what I want to do. I crave impact, so it's just part of the parcel, really.
Quick one. We work with a lot of up-and-coming urban artists across the UK who are seeking press assistance, radio airtime, creative marketing solutions, and really all-round artist development within an industry that is constantly evolving. Which is why when we had the opportunity to partner with the 1994 Collective on this podcast, it made perfect sense. So to any aspiring artists that are seeking commercial success, please do get in contact with the 1994 Collective and let them know we sent you. Is there a specific line or lyric across the album that means the most to you?
I'm rubbish at these questions, because as soon as... I can't even think of one.
I think mine is imperfection or imperfection.
Yeah,
that depends if I got space on or not. Yeah. Fuck a PCR test and fuck a lateral flow. Just play my music and you'll see if they got taste or not. I think that's my favourite, because there's an element. Well, there's absolutely elements of realness within that, but also there's the wordplay, and then there's the slight bit of humour at the end. So I think it's kind of an all-encompassing lyric.
Yeah, there's certain bars that when you think of, you you know, innit? And I knew, like, I FaceTimed my mate Miles, who loves all that type of stuff, and told him. But actually, it might have been Dane. But yeah, like I love that line, and I think that's what kind of music is kind of twisting all those things together, and making just a combination of humour, sadness, poetry, whatever. That's what I try to do. But yeah, in terms of a specific line, my brain
too many.
Yeah, not even too many. Like as soon as a question like that comes up, I just can't even think of anything.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that when you get put on the spot. I mean, so my summary words of the album, and not in terms of just the album, but how I believe you're feeling in creation of the album and potentially still feeling today. So what I wrote down was grief, depression, relationship trauma, escape, and euphoria. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's not the best five-a-side team, is it?
No, definitely not. But I mean, I'd like to touch upon them. I feel like we've already kind of gone through the grief element, and to be transparent, the lyric that I had written down was, "Since my best friend passed, I'm never buying the sun." So, and we've absolutely covered that. So again, I appreciate the honesty there. But I mean, in terms of like relationship trauma, for sake of example, obviously you have the "Without My Lover," you have the "I'd Rather You Cheat." What are you alluding to in those songs?
I mean, love makes the world go round, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I showed the girl it was about "I'd Rather You Cheat" before it came out, just because. I mean, I just wanted it to be. She's an amazing girl. I love her to bits. Do you know what I mean? I'm never gonna try to defamate her character in a million years, because her character's amazing. But at the same time, I wrote it because that's how I felt. Like, it's kind of how I feel. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like a part of my life that I had to write down, and then once it's out there, it is what it is. But like songs like that, I just like "Without My Love" is kind of one of my favourite songs, because I think it's like a balance of pain and love, and kind of also just sonically, I think it sounds nice. I love the instrumental of it. I wanted it to kind of feel like a conversation rather than a song. Like, as I was recording it, I didn't. So instead of, usually if you're recording a song, you might record the hook and then you loop the hook. I just kind of did it as a one, rather than pushing a two, so it just felt like I wanted the cadence to be different. So it just felt like I was speaking to someone. But yeah, and I did think about this before it came out, because I mean, "Morning Breath," that's solely positive and like a love song. "Without My Lover" is kind of a mix of the two. It's kind of like breaking up.
Yeah.
And then "I'd Rather You Cheat" is long gone. It's like the other end of the spectrum. But I like the fact that there's kind of one there, but timing wise, it's all over the place, because I mean, I wrote "Morning Breath," I don't know, a year and a half ago. So I just liked it on that tape. I think it worked. But yeah, man, I just write it when I feel it.
It's a good answer. And so to discuss escape, and you mentioned the word escapism earlier before I'd even thought about bringing it up, but I want to discuss that. And for me, from my perspective, what it feels like is that you've identified a number of different methods of escape, but you don't yet know which one is most positive, if that makes sense. So what I understand from listening to your music is that women is a form of escape for you, alcohol is a form of escape for you, and nature as well, which is kind of relevant to the "Look at the Clouds" track, which I believe is also kind of the euphoria element of the album as well. I mean, how accurate would you say that is in terms of those forms of escape?
I'd say it's quite accurate, but at the same time, I think it's not necessarily, like, say, women are escapism. It's almost just because, like love feels good. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't find any shame in saying I like affection. I like intimacy. I like that side of life. But it's not something I don't kind of like. It's exactly the same as anyone else in the room. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm here, there, and everywhere. But in terms of nature, I think it's just more kind of like that's what life is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, look at the clouds. It's just more like because it's like they won't hurt you, they won't judge you. It's like, it's just peaceful, just relax, innit? Like, it's not everything. They're gonna judge me for doing this. I can't dance. They're gonna think this. They're gonna think that. Just relax, bro. Look at the clouds. They're having a great time. Do you know what I mean? They're just floating about, loving their life. Everyone loves a cloud. Fucking, do you know what I mean? Is what it is. What was the other side? Alcohol. Alcohol, I think it's not necessarily the alcohol that's the escapism, it's the social element. When I'm in a social element, I'm not sad. When I'm in a social element, I'm chilling. I'm kind of the person I want to be in a social situation. It's only kind of when I'm on my own, then I'm like, fuck, I want to be that person again. Like, I crave kind of being that person rather than sat down in my room doing nothing. Then I'm like, right, well, this isn't really that fun. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, you're definitely right in terms of all three of those things are methods of escaping from kind of life. But life is stressful. Like,
Yeah.
life is better when you just enjoy the simple things. So that's what I try to.
With regards to women, so I know you are, and I'm a huge Dave fan. So within the track Mercury, he says, "Am I in love, or do I love having someone to help with distracting me from myself?"
Well, that's me to a T. Well, I say me to a T. I hear that. I resonate with that. That feels like it's come out of my head. Do you know what I mean? So, like, affection and intimacy is nice, and it's better than hating someone. That's for sure. But I've never kind of spoken to a girl because I need to escape from something in a million years. I think it's just kind of natural. I think everyone does it because I think the feeling of it feels nice. People like being liked. Like, I want to write a song. You know the song, I think it's by the Stone Roses, called I Want to Be Adored. But it's a sick song. I want to write a song called I Want to Be Adored because I think everyone just wants to be adored. People just like the feeling of love and being liked. So I don't think it's necessarily, I don't think, oh, like, I need to shag her, do this, do that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's going to
yeah,
make
yeah.
me feel amazing. I think people just like being liked. So I think it's natural. And
I agree.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I
I'm
totally
saying?
agree. Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. I just wanted to go into that and kind of the message that I got from the album, and then I suddenly thought, I was like, I'm sure there's a Dave lyric about this, and then yeah, I just wanted to see what you thought about it. So yeah, no, thank you.
ridiculously sick bar.
Yeah,
That's a hard bar.
for sure. So Euphoria, so it's the last thing that I kind of mentioned within the present moment. I mean, to move into the future, in your future, how would you sum up what Euphoria looks like?
Euphoria is just peace of mind. Like, all up above everything, I just want, like, peace of mind, and not to say that. Like, I want to be kind of. I don't want to tiptoe, but I also don't want to make it seem like I'm not, like, happy. I'm happy. I'm chilling. Do you know what I mean? It's easy for people to kind of hear certain things, and they think that's just like it's only like 10% of who I am. The difference is I'm not ashamed of having that side. I'm not ashamed of, yeah, I get anxiety sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I get sad. So what, bruv? I don't care. Like, it's just one of those. But I want to be charismatic. I want to be happy. I want to have peace of mind, and I just want, like, that's my idea of my future. Like, music wise, I'll tell you what I really want. I want
Please.
a classic. That's all I want. I don't care about anything else. I want the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That's what I want. And once I have that, I'm chilling. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about the fame or money or anything that comes with it. I want something that changes everything, and that's it. I just want a classic. So, and at some point, I'm gonna have one.
I agree.
Yeah, but I'm not in a rush for that. I don't need things now. Like, I know the music I'm gonna put out is gonna be of a decent standard, or
More than decent.
yeah, you know what I mean. I know it's gonna be all right. But all I want in life is that, and peace of mind and happiness, and that's euphoria to me. Do you know what I mean? That's utopia right there.
That's a great answer. So on the topic of a classic, so I wanted to leave this bit until the future, but another thing that I picked up was you're very anti-social media, which I think is a great thing, by the way. But I wondered how you think that will affect your music career in maybe even getting that classic, like you mentioned. Unfortunately, within the industry at the moment, social media, TikTok, this, that, and the other, it can be a huge avenue for success.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm anti-social media because I'm addicted to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what I mean when I say I'm a hypocrite. Brother, I spend bare time on social media. The difference is I know it's bad. Do you know what I mean? But everyone knows it's bad. But I think it's when you want to talk about escapism, social media is that. Like, bruv, how many times you scroll through Twitter, exit Twitter, open Twitter, oh shit, I've just seen that, close Twitter, open Snapchat, no one's messaged me, close it, open Twitter. It's just like autopilot, and people just do it because it stops you thinking about anything else. It's just easy. Like, It's a way to spend time. So I'm anti that because I know it's bad. I know it's damaging people's minds. And but you're never going to see an anti-social media campaign because of the people that would do the advertising and the people profiting from it. Doesn't make sense. So it's tapped. And the whole influencer culture, like influencers, there's a bar about it. Influencers only influence the shit they're paid for, bro. You're not an influencer, you're an advert. Like, do you know what I mean? It's all nonsense. But at the same time, I can't stop looking at it. Do you know what I mean? Here's an interesting fact for you. I don't know if this is true, but I saw this. It might have been Kanye. I saw it in an interview. You know when you like refresh social media and there's a little spinny thing at the top of the screen?
Yeah.
Apparently, the reason that they chose that is because it releases the same like endorphins in your brain as a roulette wheel. So it keeps you looking at it.
And do you know if it will do that even if there's nothing new, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was a mad fact.
That is mad, but I'm just thinking, so like, for sake of example, the app is so clever that it knows that there's nothing there, but it does it anyway to release the endorphins, and then you just re-scroll through what you've already seen.
Maybe I think it's just like satisfying in your head. I think it must release some, like everything's there for a reason, really. But yeah, like I said, I don't know if that's true, but
it's interesting regardless.
True,
yeah, and it does sound true, feasible, 100%.
But yeah, in terms of social media, like I don't feel the need to post on social media all the time because I mean, if you want to know what I'm up to, listen to the music. Do you know what I mean? My music's so kind of like I kind of put so much of my head into my music. It's like I don't want to post this and do that. It's just like
I feel that you don't need to be honest though, and what I mean by that is it's testament to how great your music is that you have such a strong core following. So I feel like some people, they need to push out tweets every 5-10 minutes. They need to blast their album out in various different ways or directions, various different bits of content. But for you, I feel like you can just put that picture out now. This is for you, listen to it, etc. And just let it breathe, and you will have people naturally moving towards that music to digest it, which, yeah, like I say, is testament to you as an artist. I mean, the beautiful thing is, I think you sometimes what you'll see with people who potentially don't have that core audience is they might have 100k followers, they might have 200k followers, then you go onto their Spotify, 10k listeners, 10k monthly listeners, where you are on the other end of the spectrum. I think, what have you got, like 50,000 followers on Instagram, on your Spotify earlier, it's nearly 200,000 monthly listeners. So that is just testament to the fact that people don't necessarily care about the social media, they care about the music and they're digesting the music.
Yeah, it's because it is kind of conscious at the same time, because I was having a conversation with him about it. It's also like it's exclusivity. It's like when you don't see it all the time.
Exclusivity.
What am I looking at?
Your t-shirt.
Is that what it says?
No, it's Cortez, isn't it?
Right, yeah. I was thinking, what, is there a fly on there?
But people do buy into exclusivity, right?
Yeah,
it makes it
man,
more wanted.
It's like different. It's like, oh shit, he hasn't posted in fucking 2 months. What's he up to? If I post it every day, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? So it's kind of that kind of principle.
Is that a decision you've made yourself?
It's something I try to do, yeah, because like my stuff, yeah, it's kind of less is more in a way. As long as what you're doing is interesting, then if you only posted once every 2 months and it was just like shout out for shout out,
yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, it would be different. But yeah, it's definitely something I try to think about, because I don't want to oversaturate myself, because I know that I haven't got every single trick in the book, so I need mine to kind of last as long as possible. So if I oversaturate myself and it's all you see, people, it's like a fast food era. People will be done with that. I want to kind of drag it out.
Longevity.
But I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it backfires. Like, do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's just like you kind of force a relevance on yourself. Do you know what I mean? So you kind of have to be conscious of that as well. But
it's a tough one.
Yeah, but at the same time,
I think for you it works. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So for goals, I always like to discuss goals. But today it's more relevant. So on Orange, you say, the fact our life goals are to be something that we're not already really says it all. Are there really no content souls? What are your goals and what do you mean by that?
I mean, everyone's like got goals and aspirations and like stuff like idols and stuff like that. But all it's basically saying is confirming that you're currently not happy with where you are. So the bar is just kind of about is someone that's completely content? Do they still have goals so it's not. It wasn't even written as fact. It's just kind of something that I was.
It's thought provoking though, right?
Yeah. So it's just like if everyone's goal is to be something they're not, then who's actually comfy with where they are? Do you know what I mean? So I reckon my goal is to just be comfy with where I am, and I'm a million miles off that because I've got different goals and aspirations and things I want to do with my life, and so like I want to do Glastonbury, I want to do Royal Albert Hall. Those two are the two that make me go, like they would give me goosebumps just thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? So Glasgow and Royal Albert Hall.
When would you like to get them done by?
Well, Glasgow, there's like 200 stages or some shit, so it would just kind of be like building my way up. I don't necessarily have a rush, but Royal Albert Hall, I reckon I'll release a tape one year or an album and kind of do like a proper listening party, one night only, Royal Albert Hall.
What's the capacity, do you know?
No idea. Not a clue. But yeah, kind of just do that. That's something that's special to me. It's just iconic. It's a beautiful place.
Facts.
Yeah, it's fat as well though. Like I saw Cirque du Soleil there like a year or two ago. I can't remember, but the venue's just beautiful. Like it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times for table tennis events of all things.
So
actually, yeah.
That's sick. What, to play or to watch?
Nah, not to play, to watch. But I did used to play to like
Sick.
a decent standard. So like, yeah, I just went there
Sick,
to
man.
watch. Yeah, we could. Who knows? Get a game in a pub one
Yeah, let's do
time.
it, man.
We'll sort it out. But yeah, that's kind of like mainly what I wanted to go into from the future, and I believe that there's like really interesting elements to that conversation, musically, personal wise, goals, and to go into that. So I mean, is there anything from the future that I haven't kind of successfully drawn out of you that you'd like to discuss?
I don't know. Not. Do you mean career wise, life wise?
In life, I mean, actually, good question. So, what message would you like to give to your future self?
To my future self.
So let's say we're 10 years down the line, you're rewatching this conversation.
Yeah.
What do you want to say to yourself?
I hope you always did it your way. Do you know what I mean? I hope you didn't compromise. I would love to say I hope I always followed with what my gut instinct. I know in my gut instincts what I want with my life, and I hope I always stuck to that or always stick to that. I'll be gutted if I don't. But at the same time, I'm going to. Do you know what I mean? I don't crave anything other than the best version of me. And I've tried to. Sometimes I feel guilty about it because I think I should care more about certain things. But I've kind of gone back and forth in my brain, and sometimes I just don't. I can't always fight that. But
Someone that we had on recently, Chris Jammer, so he said something which to me was like, I don't know, it's one of those sentences which is so simple, but it can mean so much. So he said, to be selfless, you need to be selfish.
100%. Yeah, big line. And it's true. Like I was thinking about selfish is like, I can't remember if I've robbed this off someone else or not. The word selfish, the connotations are all wrong. So the whole idea of being selfish is the whole point. Like, that's just prioritizing yourself. You should prioritize yourself. And like sometimes being nice to people, you can just be nice to people because it makes you feel good. You don't always need to be fucking Jesus, do all these things. Sometimes it just feels good for you. Do you know what I mean? So, like, yeah, 100%, I back that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's two final questions that we ask everyone that comes on. So one of them is kind of a steer for us into looking at various different bits of content. So I wanted to ask you kind of within the industry as it currently stands, what would you say is like an unanswered question or an area that needs to be looked into more?
So within the industry?
Yeah, the music industry in the UK specifically. So, I don't know, some people will say, there's no friends in the industry, everyone's fake, for sake of example. Some people say sexism is a massive problem within the industry and it needs to be looked into more. So, yeah.
Yeah, my honest answer on that, especially the ones you mentioned, is like, I don't feel like I'm in the industry. I don't feel like I wouldn't be able to tell you. If there's sexism in the industry, I haven't seen it because all I do is mind my business. Do you know what I mean? I just kind of stay in my lane and mind my business, write music, release music. But I mean, there's definitely a formula. I'd love that. I'd love for that to change. I'd love for the formula of music to change in terms of in the UK, people have figured out what works and it's just getting pumped out. And a lot of them like are good songs and they're nice to listen to. But I think it's so transparent at this point. It's so obvious that it's just a formula of knowing what works, do what works, put it out, make £1 million. And why would you stop that? So I'm not mad at it, but I'd like for it to, in an ideal world, I'd like for that not to be the case.
Okay. So maybe a piece of content focusing on what is a new formula, how can we do things differently?
I don't think content is prioritised in the UK. Like, it's just not. Like, people don't really care that much about. Well, actually, that's a lie. They do. They definitely do. But kind of, I don't know. The tide will turn in what's popular, and I think there's certain artists. And what I try to do is give myself a head start. So when that tide does change and it swings back the other way,
you're there.
It's like, oh, Song has been doing that for 5 years. So, do you know what I mean? So, yeah. I don't know if I butchered that answer.
No, that's a good answer. It's a really good answer. There's cool. Some really important pieces to take from that and to look into. So thank you. And last question. So before we close, who, like, within your network, like musically, would you like to appear on this podcast?
I'm going to go for him because I spoke to him this morning and yesterday. I'm going to say Artan.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'll nominate Artan. Like, sick guy, interesting, knows music inside out. So Artan, if you watch him, get yourself in this seat, mate. Well, maybe not this seat because
who knows, the equivalent. But yeah, nice one, bro. Honestly, I mean, from my perspective, the honesty, the transparency, the value, the knowledge has been incredible and infectious for me. So I know that the people that are watching and listening will feel the same as well. So yeah, thank you.
I appreciate that. Like I say, like, to hear that it's a beautiful feeling for me. So I appreciate it.
And how have you found it?
Yeah, sick, man. I enjoy it. I like speaking. Like, it's what I said to you before we started rolling. Just like, music's one thing, but I want to kind of have a voice. Like, I don't care about having a face. I just want to have a voice. I just want my point. So if worst case scenario, something happens, I want legacy. And legacy doesn't happen without this stuff. So
facts.
Yeah,
it's a good one to close on.
Let's do it.
Nice one, bro.
Thanks, everyone. Peace.